times. And really, no, I'm also speaking to everybody now here, not necessarily you who has lost, all of us, that surely when we are given responsibilities, where we are caregivers, where we are gatekeepers, where we have to speak for others, let's do it with the integrity it deserves. If we don't do this, we'll fail our Maker. Because He has given us a conscience, as I said. He has given us a mind. And sometimes we do these things knowingly. You let the gate and you say everyone for themselves. The mercy of God is so powerful enough to bring us redemption. You know, the way Christ came to die for us. My goodness, that's the kind of mercy I'm talking about, and the compassion that Christ has for you now, dear brother and sister, who has lost. You who has lost something in a major way. Christ is really merciful to you, and His mercy is not in vain. Really, you could lose something out of people's negative schemes. Somebody just going behind your back and doing all those kind of things. You know, like Joseph, the way we have just shared with you. His brothers schemed against him unfairly. And they thought they had finished him. But God, He ended up being the prime minister. We know the story. They ended up following Him, bowing before Him, so He could save them from hunger. That's our God. He will lay that table before your enemies for you. That's our God. And He's faithful to fulfill His word. So if you are in this place where you have lost something because somebody misrepresented you, somebody talked ill of you, somebody hid some certain good information about you, so that you fail, or you look like you are not the person that other people think of, please know that there is God in heaven, there is God on earth, there is God where you are, there's God in you if you are a Christian. And I tell you, it will turn around for your good, to the glory of Jesus. We know about the story of Job. We are still in the place where I really want us to just, bring us up to speed on what has been happening, even in during the times of writing the Bible. Lord, our God inspiring people to put up His word in the Bible. These things have been happening. They have happened before, and they have been breakthroughs. So even for your case, you will break through. It doesn't matter how it looks. For Job, looking at Job from Job 1 verse 13 to 22. Looking at 13, it says, one day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabeans attacked and made off with them. His flock was just stolen. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped. All the servants slaughtered, as an exception of one. While he was still speaking about that, another messenger came and said, the fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on your camels and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I'm the only one who has escaped to tell you. And while he was still speaking again, yet another messenger came and said, your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly the mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead. And I'm the only one who has escaped to tell you. Have you lost that much? Of course, we cannot compare pain with pain. It's different for all of us. But this is what Job did. At this point, Job, looking at verse 20, at this time, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground and he worshipped and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I will depart." Job realized that really we don't know anything in this world. At the end of the day, none of these things we see here that we can really hold on to them and say that it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee, they're ours. No. But then again, later on we know how the story of Job turned around, because it was meant to glorify God also. It turned around and Job was restored beautifully. You will be restored, dear sister, dear brother. You will be restored. Just keep professing and confessing the faith. I really like to bring this information to you, dear one who is listening today, because sometimes when we find ourselves in major areas of loss, there's this thing that we normally say, Mungu alikuwa wapi? Where was God? Why did God do this to me? Why did God do this to me? I like to really tell us that God does not bring problems on us. He does not just sit there scheming and saying, I'm going to strike this one. That is not our Father. We have just learned about, the compassion that He has for us. I mean, why would He create us and then torment us? I mean, does it even make sense? That is not our Father. Many times the problems that we face are actually our own systemic errors of humanity, human errors. Yeah? Maybe somebody's a gatekeeper somewhere to look at and take care of an issue, and they compromise. And the whole of us are just in trouble because of it. And really, you would want to take up that one to God also. And you see, God has equipped us. He gave us the brains and the hearts and the conscience and everything so that we can use it correctly. So sometimes we find things happening to us just because we lost in the area of integrity, the area of taking our responsibilities well. Somebody may have done something that, opened the gate on us, opened the door on you to get harm. For example, let me just give an example that assuming a doctor is not properly trained or not properly recruited, gets into a medical training school, does not have the capacity to go through the training. What do you think would happen? A doctor who is maybe incompetent and not able to perform, the duties of a doctor in a certain area, and this is the doctor that who's attending to you. Chances are that you would find yourself with medical errors. Will you want to blame God on that one? Would you say that why has God done this to me? I think we have to wake up sometimes and really know. I'm also speaking to everybody now here, not necessarily you who has lost. All of us, that surely when we are given responsibilities, where we are caregivers, where we are gatekeepers, where we have to speak for others, let's do it with the integrity it deserves. If we don't do this, we'll fail our Maker. Because He has given us a conscience, as I said. He has given us a mind. And sometimes we do these things knowingly. You let the gate and you say everyone for themselves and God for us all. Then why were you there? You see, dear ones, that sometimes we really bring losses and problems and trouble to our dear ones because we have failed to stand in our place of responsibility. And this is what happens many times. The sufferings that we have in this world, I tell you, most of the times they're just systemic errors. Yeah? Whatever issues that we eat, issues. Somebody just doesn't care. Says, Bora, pesa ipatikane. And then we come and say, where was God? But God gave you a conscience. You have the knowledge. Surely. Anyway, I do not want to lecture, but really, I feel very troubled when I find people suffering, their in-laws, they are struggling just because somebody who was a gatekeeper somewhere decided to sleep. Let me tell you that God provides. There's the mercy of God that covers the place where perhaps things happened without us knowing. But ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse, and the reason is that God knows that if you really make use of yourself, your entire self, ignorance issue will not arise anywhere where his hand touched while he was creating you. The issue of ignorance cannot arise. So really, if you're keen, if you really want to get things correct, you will get them correct. It's a question of will. Aligning your will to his will. Just that. So I have lost something. What then do I do? What surely should I do now? Now that I am in this pain. Now that I am in this trouble. Now that I am lost and I am in this loss. What should I do? Dear brother, dear sister, what I encourage you to do now, first of all, is to accept that you have lost. But acceptance, just like forgiveness, has a process. It doesn't just happen. You know, I know you've had us telling you sometimes, forgive, and you're finding it so hard to forgive. So, accepting a loss is also, it has its process, just like forgiveness. But you have to decide and say, it's okay. It begins from there. It begins from deciding to accept. You know, when you find yourself in this place, there's always this thing of, you are shocked. You are in denial. You are numb. It's like it's a movie being played, but it is your life. You just can't believe it. Those are the processes towards accepting. You will get to a place where you are annoyed when it begins to sink now. The issues of anger may come in. The issues of depression may come in. But all this is towards the road of acceptance. What I want to say is, do not stay so much in that place of struggling to accept. And especially when we come to the place of where you are now getting depressed. It's dangerous for you to stay there for too long. You have to find ways of being helped. But again, when you at this point, do not curse your God. Be careful what you say. I always say this. Do not kill your destiny with your own words. Do not shoot your destiny down with your own words. That for me, nothing good will ever happen for me. It's done. It's a wrap. I will never get restored. I've lost too much. It's not possible. No, with our God, it is possible. You remember the time when Job's wife went to him and said, I think I want to go to that verse. It's Job 2, 9 to 10. His wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. Oh my goodness. Your integrity is very important when you are in that place of loss. Keep your integrity. Do not compromise. No matter how painful it is, please keep your integrity. It is so important for you. It might be difficult to do it, but do it. You will be grateful. You will thank yourself later. Keep your integrity.